Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM, your GM, your guide, your rambler, as we sit around and we talk about games, game design, game theory, game reviews. We're going to be talking about Savage Worlds. We're looking at Savage Worlds, we're breaking it down into digestible chunks, and today we're going to be talking about dramatic tasks. But before we get into it, hello to Certified Organic, John Doom, Padre, and Mr. Bob Crumb. No sound. It says I've got sound going. Can you guys all hear me? All right. It sounds like people can hear me. All right. So, before we get started, big announcement. Thanks to our sponsor, Strange Owl Games. Bob is involved in this project. I'm involved in this project. Our Kickstarter has gone live. Amboria role playing in the world of Starlight is live. For the next 40 days, I will be frantically pulling out. I don't know what hair I have left, but it will be pulled out on account of this Kickstarter. So, if you like it, go check it out. Would appreciate it. Share it around to everywhere. All the places that you feel like it would be useful, I would greatly appreciate it. Love to have the signal boost on that. I will be talking a lot about Amboria over the next 40 days. We are also going to be talking with Richard this afternoon. If you see an alert going live that Iconic is live, I'm going to be chatting with Richard, the creator of The World Under Starlight. Also hoping to have some interviews with Bob about the art direction on this. So, never fails. Fine all morning. As soon as I sit down to do Behind the Screen, suddenly the frogs in my throat come out in herds, like one of the great plagues of Egypt. All right, so I want to talk about dramatic tasks. So, the actual mechanic of a dramatic task I was first introduced to with Torg Eternity. And Torg Eternity uses the drama cards. And essentially, the dramatic task is anytime you want to resolve something that is tense and dramatic and cannot be resolved in a single roll. I think the very first dramatic task that I used was in our Eternity Shards campaign. The group wanted to destroy a magic item that they found. Just on the spur of the moment. They were like, can we destroy it? I'm like, well, this seems like a good opportunity to use the dramatic skill resolution is what it's called in Torg, dramatic tasks in Savage Worlds. I love that we've started a Prince of Egypt themed chat discussion about the plagues of Egypt. That's why I love talking with you guys. That's why I don't do these streams pre-recorded. I realize that there's some people who would like them pre-recorded so that they're tight and they're focused and I don't rabbit trail down various rabbit holes or talking with the chat. But this is the part of the show that I love the most. So it's my show. That's why I'm doing it. So I think the first time I saw this actually mechanically were skill challenges in 4th edition D&D, which is fine. I loved 4th edition. I realize that's a controversial topic. We could do an entire retrospective on 4th edition, but there are better, more, smarter people who have done those. I think it was a great addition. But skill challenges, dramatic skill resolutions, and dramatic tasks all kind of fall into the same thing. Bob and I played in a great 4th edition game. We also wrote a 4th edition supplement and together back in the day, the Ashen Sands of Agandos. You can still find it on drive-through if it tickles your fancy. So, a dramatic task. Things that are under a time limit and the outcome is uncertain. So this is not like quick encounters where you're kind of guaranteed success. This is something where the party or the person could fail. Do they defuse the bomb before it goes off? Do they rescue the people from the train before it goes off the edge of the cliff? Do they catch the serial killer before next victim? Do they destroy the magic item? Can they open the portal before the wave of magical energy washes over them and annihilates reality? That one might be coming up in Crucible of Realms at some point. So, in this dramatic task, it's a subsystem, which means in Savage Worlds, again, the core of the game is trait die plus wild die, try to get a 4. It's 99% of how you would do something in Savage Worlds. I was talking with John Doe saying, hey, how would you design a sword and sorcery version of Suede? And he's like, well, first, I'd start with the wild die and target numbers at 4. I'm like, ha ha ha. Well done, John Doe. So this is a subsystem you don't ever need to break out, but I think there are great points in the narrative where you want to ratchet up that tension. And so essentially what you're telling the player is you have this time frame, this many rounds, to accumulate this many tokens. Now the tokens just can be progress towards a success, or they can be people you're rescuing, gold you're pulling out of the vault, I think is the example they use. Gold you're trying to steal from the Cave of Wonders before the panther head kind of retreats back into sand. And then you let the players sort of decide how they're going about it. Sometimes you may say, these are the skills you have to use. Other times you may just say, how are you going to deal with this? In The Return of Dr. Destruction, there's a dramatic task right at the start. Without giving too much away, Stygians are trying to take down the support pillars of a maglev that's about to hit the spot where the players are. How do you solve this? You need to collect 4 tokens in 3 rounds to figure out, just to prevent the train from crashing. These can be either single person or multi-person. It's easy. If you have one person who has to collect 4 tokens in 3 rounds and there's 3 people there, then you need 12 tokens in 3 rounds. The rules are pretty simple. I think they explain the mechanics of it fairly well. We're going to gloss over those and we're going to jump into, after we talk about them, when we should use these as GMs. The other thing you can do, and I love this, if you break down the tasks into separate steps, tokens accumulated from one don't roll over to the next one. So if the first 3 tokens have to be taking the case off the bomb, and they roll 2 critical successes and get 4, doesn't matter. The cap on that first step is 3, and then they have to move into the next one. And of course, you deal out action cards, and if you get a club, well, something bad happens. Something complicates the matter. And I think that's what I like about Savage Worlds. Is that the rules are consistent and they make sense. Clubs are always bad. If you draw a club on your action card, that's when something bad happens. So, when do we use these things? Well, we talked a little bit about them. You could use them as a chase. In fact, chases are sort of a variant of this rule. If you wanted a quicker chase, you could probably use this rule. I tend to like them for any sort of ritual that comes up in the game. How do we take down this magical field? How do we destroy this artifact? How do we charter a ship to go from one place to another? How do our prayers reach the attention of our God so that there is divine intervention before the flood destroys the town? Anytime there is still a chance of failure, right? Because when we talk about quick encounters, we'll talk about kind of the difference of this. If there is a chance of failure and the outcome is dramatic, that's when you use something like this, when you want to ratchet up the tension. This is any point in the movie where they start mentioning a time. They show it on the screen. They keep referencing how much closer they are to the end of the time going off. Anytime you have that level of dramatic tension, that is when you should use a dramatic task. And yes, you can scale the results. John Doom is posting this in the chat. You can say, well, you failed, but you accumulated enough tokens that you got a partial success, or you accumulated so many tokens that the worst case scenario happened, or you not just hit your goal, but you exceeded it by, say, 4 tokens. Here's an extra benefit. And I love that because it's another way to gradiate, add a level of gradation to this task. So that's not necessarily all or nothing. But here's the other thing you could do with this. The dramatic task system is great for any sense of drama that you want to resolve in a timely and orderly fashion. So what do I mean by this? Let's say you're about halfway through your session and your players come up with this idea that you didn't think of. I use dramatic tasks a lot when players come up with things I didn't think of. So you're playing a Deadlands game, and you have this whole train heist planned. And one of the players, probably named John Doom or Tinker Hellraiser, goes, well, why do we need to wait for the train? We know the MacGuffin is in a vault in the mayor's house. There's a party going on. Why don't we slip in and deal with it before it even gets on the train? Crap. Suddenly, everything you have planned is out the window. And you don't have time to plan a whole heist session. And you still have half a session left, and you're not comfortable improvising the whole thing. Don't worry. Savage Worlds has you covered. Drop into the dramatic task. Say, all right, if you guys want to take this out tonight, this is a challenging thing. You guys are going to need to collect 18 tokens in 4 rounds. Each round representing about an hour's of time. How are you going to break into the house? The group talk about it. Each step is broken down. Each task is broken down into multiple rounds. This gives you the time to let your players do their planning, take a step back, and figure out what the next step is. It adds time and space while still resolving rather quickly. Padre brought up a great one. Can you jump to hyperspace before the before you're attacked, before you run out of fuel? Now, this is the other thing. You can drop into a single person dramatic skill or dramatic task, plotting the jump to hyperspace, cracking the safe, defusing the bomb. But because you're still dealing out action cards, ratchet up that tension. Cool. Padre, you get to make the plot to hyperspace. John Doom, you got to pilot the ship because there are 4 Imperial fighters out there trying to kill you. Ian, Rook, and Bob, man the guns. Hopefully Padre can plot this course and jump you out of here, because in 4 rounds the Star Destroyer gets here. Done. We've just plotted out a pretty slick dramatic task resolution, and that seems like it would be fun. I use dramatic tasks when I need more space and more time to think about what the players have just decided to do. And the best part about it is, because cards are being dealt, because dice are being rolled, the players are going to enjoy it. It adds drama to the scene and allows you to use some mechanics that maybe you haven't thought about using, and maybe can buy you a little bit more of that verisimilitude that provides a realistic outcome for your players without you going, okay, hold on, let me pull up some stats, give me like 5 minutes to kind of draw all this out. And now the group is falling into the roles I've assigned them for this space adventure. We'll probably need to do something like that. So that's it for dramatic tasks. I think I only talked about 10 minutes about it for you. You can check out the rules in the book. Follow the links in the show notes to figure out where you can buy Sway. It's a great subsystem. I need to use it more in my games. So far, it's been an emergency brake. I think I need to be planning more of these in my game going forward. Speaking of, tonight we will be playing Crucible of Realms. We have a weird one-shot planned. If you've ever wondered, what does a zombie Saurian and a skeletal Ratman do at work and working for the dead in a magical city, tune in tonight. It's going to be kind of like a buddy cop episode if instead of buddy cops, they were buddy garbage men. And we'll see what hilarity ensues with Gabe and Ben as my only two players for tonight. We will be taking next week off from Crucible of Realms. The group just needs a little break. Gonna hang out, talk about some things, just relax as a group. And we'll be back the week after with returning to the Mountain of the Monkey King. And, you know, tune in for all the other great shows we have on the Iconic Production channel. Behind the Screen will be back on Thursday with more Savage Worlds this discussion. This Saturday, we'll be completing what was supposed to be 1 and is now 3 episodes of Exploring Glorantha, looking at the first age of that world. Thank you to Tinker Hellraiser, who put together the ad, the beautiful artwork that we're using for our Twitter and Instagram pages. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you to Bob for all of the great work he has done on the Amboria Kickstarter going forward. Check out the Amboria Kickstarter if for no other reason than to see the sweet video that Bob put together. We've shown it off here. I'm going to put this link back in the show notes. And we will be back on Thursday with more Behind the Screen. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. Thanks to everybody. And if you guys are at all interested, you should definitely go check out Gaming with Gage's Discord. They run Savage Worlds every Monday night for an event called SWAN, Savage Worlds Adventurer Night. If you want to play Savage Worlds, if you want to run Savage Worlds, if you got a product that you backed or bought and haven't got a chance to play, if you're a writer and are trying to design something new, go over to the Gaming with Gage Discord server. If you Google Gaming with Gage and Friends, I'll put a link to the Discord server in the show notes. Go over there. I'm going to be running Necessary Evils sometime in July or August on one of their Swan nights. So, thanks to everybody who's in the chat. Thanks to everybody who has supports the show, to our patrons and our supporters here on Twitter. It is because of people like you that I get to do something fun like this. Keep the lights on in the studio and do a ton of fun things as my job. So, as always, thank you. John, thanks. I appreciate that. Bob's video for Amboria is fire. Thank you, Tinker. I 100% agree. Yeah, John and I are actually getting to play in a Necessary Evil campaign where I'm playing a super sorcerer and I have so much fun spending my bennies, not on rerolls, but on doing crazy magical things. If you want to get recaps of that, John and I will probably be typing back and forth on the Iconic Production Discord server on the Savage Worlds sub-channel. If you're not a member of the patronage, jump over to patreon.com/Iconic Production, join the patronage, and come talk with us during the week. So, that's it for today. Thank you all for your support and for hanging out this morning. I will see you all on Thursday for more Behind the Screens. Have a good one.